Hmm. I remember Zoom used to say whenever recording was starting, it would say that it's starting, but I guess it doesn't do that anymore. All right. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for making it back to our second session in the 6-week series. Hopefully, we will have a few of our friends that were not able to uh, join us last week. I see Carol is here. I see Carol is from Hong Kong. I see Özlem from Turkey joining us. Hopefully others will join as well. All right. So let's start with a quick overview of what we did last week, and then we'll start on the lesson plan for today. Let me get my screen ready. All right. So last week we basically concentrated on the spiritual aspects of finances. We read different scriptures from different religions, and again, it's those are only for those that have a spiritual belief and they believe in that there might be a connection between our spiritual life and our finances. We want to be mindful of everyone's personal belief. We are not imposing any particular religion or writing on anyone. But as we saw, we did see several different connections. Several different connections between our faith and finances. I'm pulling up the sheet so I can pull it up and we can quickly do a review. So let me share my screen again. And my share screen. All right. So basically what we read was that there is a strong connection again between our faith. I am waiting for my faith and finances. There is a strong correlation between them. Our highest goal in life, again, for those that believe that there is a spiritual side, there's God, it should be to get close to God, to develop our characteristics and prepare ourselves for the next world. And during this process, we also being a service to humanity. These are the goals that are set for us in the sacred writings. Then we discussed. Then we discussed that the reason that we are not being able to achieve our spiritual goals is that there are so many distractions in the world right now. And the biggest one is being materialistic. Everyone has become so materialistic. We are consumed with material stuff all around us. And unfortunately, our children are even learning it from the young age. But then we also learned that there is a divine purpose to these desires and temptations. They are a way for us to test ourselves. That's what these things are for. But we also learned that if we do believe that there are spiritual forces that are helping us in our lives, we should not be thinking about life necessities. We should not be thinking about how we get money for, not that how we should get money, but how do we pay for our life necessities for food, water, clothing, shelter, and health. Because as the example that's been given in the Bible, God who created us knows our life necessities and will provide. And of course, we have to do our own things. We have to put our own efforts into it. It's not like we just sit around and wait for God to provide for us. And something that we're going to get in today, we didn't necessarily discuss last week, was so if we are not concerned, if we are not consumed with preparing for life necessities, what should we do with our time? Those traditionally, those who retire, they love to travel, they love to go see different places, enjoy life. But again, turning into the scriptures, this is what I really love. It says, "Forget your own selves and turn your eyes towards your neighbor. Bend your energies to whatever may foster the education of men. If we follow in his way, his incalculable and imperishable blessings will be showered upon you." And this is something that I can personally attest to. Since we've started Mind Treasures 17 years ago, this is what we are really seeing. And the testimony is right here in this group that we have people from all around the world attending. So I'm sorry, I am reading a text message. Okay, all right. So this is the spiritual background of the program. Then last week, we started with our human treasures. We talked about we were born rich with all these character traits and a lot more of them. These are just some. There are unlimited number of character traits that we all inherited from God, again, if we believe in God. And we talked about the assignments where what do these character traits have to do with money? And we even had a discussion about it last week, whether you were participating in the live session or if you watched the videos afterwards. And really great job to everyone who completed their assignments. I know that sometimes it may seem to be a little bit too much, but these assignments are the practical aspects of what we're learning in the workshop. These assignments does not benefit me. It's not like a test. We would not grade anyone, but it is for everyone.
Recording in progress.
To continue to learn, because if once we do these assignments, that's how we learn the aspects. So this is stuff. We're going to start on patience and goals, but before we do that, I want to open it up. I'm going to stop sharing and see if anybody has any questions about what we've done. We did last week during the live sessions, the assignments. If anybody has any questions or any comments. I know I posed one question in the group chat, and again, thank you to all that responded to it. What did you recognize about yourself? Anybody who did not put something in the group chat would like to share? Doing the exercises of looking at these character traits, these treasures, did anything pop up to you that you would like to share? You can either unmute yourself and say something. Go ahead. Asa, go ahead, please.
Hi. Yeah, I think I realized that with like the virtues or character traits or spiritual qualities that I thought I needed to work on or focus on regarding the financial aspects is also, it also applies to other aspects of my life too, you know. So it's something that like, yeah, it's really nice that now we're specifically connecting it to the financial matters. And I'm thinking about it differently. But yeah, when I was like reflecting about those virtues, it's like, yeah, it also applies to other aspects of life that I need to like, that I'm lacking it or like need to focus on it and work on it. And it's nice that now it's kind of becoming more practical, learning how we can have these avenues to practice and developing them.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you so much, Asa. All right, anybody else would like to share anything that you recognize as a result of doing the exercises, the exercise of looking at your character traits?
Alex, can I share something with
Absolutely, go ahead, Carol.
Yes, after watching the video, I realized that we are all very treasurable. Actually, we have a lot of qualities within ourselves and make us a whole person already. And then we can actually make use of these qualities to be better, to make ourselves better in financial planning or financial practices. And then I think the goal setting exercise is good also because it helps us to be able to begin with the end in mind, and it guides us through what we should be done. And then it saves a lot of time if we set goals before doing anything, right?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So Anis from Germany, he wrote in the chat, if you haven't seen it, I realized how much I forgot to consider these treasures and how much easier it is if I am dedicating time to purposefulness and other virtues to give my goals perspective. So there is a lot that we can learn. I mean, this is the whole point of this program. Just one thing for those that came a little later, if you can change your screen name to just your first name and the country where you are dialing in from, that would be very helpful. I tried to change the names, but if you can do it, that would be great as well. Maria from US says, the activity helped me reflect about myself and my talents. It made me feel grateful for what I have. Okay, all right, very good. So let's continue. Oh, before we continue, I want to introduce, you met Donald, who's a member of our team in San Diego. He's been with us only 1 year, but then we have the longest member of our team, Ms. Banks. She's been with Mind Treasures for 12 years. She's a great friend, a great, I cannot do things without her. She's great. And also, I cannot get rid of her either. I've been trying to somehow make her retire or do something, but she's just great, especially with students in the school. Really grateful for having Ms. Banks in here. And everybody will get a chance to meet them when we go into the breakout session. All right, so let me share my screen again. We're going to start on the patience because we looked at our spiritual goals, and now we're going to look at our material goals and how we align them together, how we're going to do this. So this quote that you all read in the first, the purposefulness is here again. If we could see the miracle of a single flower, clearly our whole life would change. So here is again, we want to re-emphasize that our goal in life should not be to busy ourselves with life necessities, but then other things that we want to accomplish in life, whether it's education, buying a house, attaining the presence of God, whatever that is. We need to have a plan of how we're going to achieve this. And again, a great job to everyone who did this exercise. You put your goals in there. We're going to take one of those examples. This was the kind of the iPhone is an example in here, but I'd like to see if there's anyone who's volunteering to share their goals. I can even pull up if there's a volunteer that I can pull up the worksheet so we can see their goals. Do I have a volunteer that I can pull up their worksheet so we can look at their goals? Nope, everybody's quiet. Okay, all right, that's fine.
I mean, if you need to pull up, I don't mind, but I don't know how complete mine is.
That's fine. We'll just go based on. I'm glad we have a volunteer. I usually don't want to volunteer anyone, but thank you, Asa.
And I'm not like, because mine is not an A student example for you to share, but if you really, you can pull it up.
There is no A
to
or
make it better.
there's no A or B student here. We're all learning together. We're all going to help each other learn everything. So and again, these assignments, if you could not complete your assignments, don't feel like you didn't do it right. We have time. This learning about financial education is going to take some time. All right. So I'm going to hide our example in here, and you guys can overwrite that. All right. So I'm going to do the TM course. Asa, do you want to tell us a little bit about the TM course? What is this course?
Oh, I don't know if like, you know how like advertisements are kind of tailored towards what you search for on the internet and what your interests are. So I think naturally, like based on what I've been looking into, like my interest, the TM, which is like a transcendental meditation technique, has been coming up for a while, for like a few months. So yeah, I got a chance to look more into it and like connect with the person who is a teacher in San Diego for it, because it's like you need a one-on-one teacher.
Okay.
But anyway, the fee for the course is income-based,
Mhm.
but it's still a little bit pricey if you really want to
Okay, all right.
attend.
All right, great. So you just explained that this is a meditation course. You want to start it in 1 year. Your purpose is to have improved quality of life. What is your action plan? How are you going to come up with this $880?
Did I leave it empty or blank?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it's
Yeah, because I never do financial planning.
okay. All right. Okay. And it's okay. You don't have to have an answer now because it is going to take some time. And even more difficult is going to be the sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? So this is the process. I mean, this is the process that we're all going to learn together. Um, One thing that I want to overemphasize, is the purpose. Often we set goals or we want things because we see other people having it. So in the chat, how many times have you wanted something just because somebody else had it? You've seen like when the new iPhone comes out, before even the new iPhone comes out, who gets excited about buying the latest iPhone? Or if you see somebody else wearing a nice outfit, doesn't matter whether it's female or male, these days really doesn't matter. How many times have you found yourself or seen other people? You can put it in the chat, please. You being enticed to buy something that just because other people have it. You can also unmute yourself if anybody would like to share. I know that's kind of a, okay, Carol says, yes, I do. All right, okay. Anybody else? It always takes one person to start the conversation. It's human nature. I mean, we see things and we want. There was an example one time I was in a high school classroom and I was asking this question from the participants. They were seniors, so they were 17 years old. And one of the students said, I want to buy a Rolex watch. And I said, why? And he said, it's because it's a sign of accomplishment. And I said, to who? And he said, to me. I said, well, if you're an accomplished person, why do you need to have a watch to tell you that you're accomplished? Then I posed the next question. I said, what if you were to live in an island all by yourself and you had all the money and you could buy anything? Would you still buy the Rolex watch? He said, no, I would not even wear clothing. There's nobody around. And I said, see, you wanted to show to other people that you're an accomplished person. And that is what a lot of times gets us into trouble. That we feel that in order to live up to other people's standards, our friends, our co-workers, our family members, we are always in this competition. Asa says, when I was younger, definitely more than now. Sophia says, yes, I do when I was in the youth period. Well, it's good that you guys have graduated from the youth, but we see a lot of adults still do that. And that's why we put this purpose in here. So these are your goals in life. Let's see what Asa put in, because I know she has something in here as a goal as a family. So Asa put in here as for their family, they want to buy a 4-bedroom house. And this is not a mistake. When she says over $1 million, this is unfortunately the cost of living in our city. This is very typical for a 4-bedroom house, and this would be about the minimum price of a house here in San Diego is about $1 million for a 4-bedroom house. I know it is crazy. But the purpose that she has is to have a larger place because also I know Asa very closely. She does have a family. Okay. Asa, my question to you, you can either unmute or put it in the chat. Does the rest of your family, particularly your husband, because I know your children are small, do they support this goal? Is it a goal that the two of you came up together, or is it just your goal?
Yes, definitely he more so.
Okay, very good. So our family goal is something that every member of the family needs to be on board. Of course, when we have small children, they have a small part, but as they grow older, they also need to be part of it. Is there anybody else that would like to share a family goal? So we can hear from somebody else. Either you can unmute yourself and share, or I can even pull up your worksheet. Do I have another volunteer? Something, a different goal. Any brave soul?
I can share too.
Go ahead, Parisa.
You can share mine too.
Okay. All right.
I think mine was buying an electric car and buying a house as an investment.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the house as an investment? What do you have in mind?
So I'm thinking now that I'm done with the school and I'm working and my husband works, make money, how we can get best of this money, how we can invest, so we can make more money without physically working. And my research is not done, it's not complete, but one of the smartest way I found out that I can use this money is to buy maybe a house or apartment or condo, something that I can rent and I get, as they call it, passive money.
Yes. Mhm.
So that's one of my long-term goal. I don't know when I can do that, but we definitely think about it.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's a great goal to have, and we will actually dive more into it in the future weeks as part of the investment. This is one of the best investment strategies in material stuff. So you're willing to give up your time and sleep. That's something I would not give up my sleep. I don't know about you, but you're very brave to be willing to give up your sleep.
For a short period of time, when I buy the house and I can work less, maybe I sleep more.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. So you see that, and we can move actually this one down to the family goal, because this is more of a family goal, but it's okay. It really doesn't matter where it is. So it's coming up with a plan often. And I think there was one of the participants, I can't remember who it was, wrote in the group chat that what they realize is that they make a lot of goals, but then they get distracted and jump on something else. So anybody would like to share if you have had a goal and then you totally forgot about it, or you jumped on another thing? Does anybody have an example of in your life that you had a goal and you did not achieve it because something else came up and you just let go of the first one? Either in the chat or you can unmute yourself, please. I'm sure others have had that. I've had that problem when I wanted to achieve something, but then I got distracted with somebody else, with something else. No brave souls to share. Okay. All right. We'll continue on. If you think of something, a situation where you have been in that, please definitely let us know. All right. So Parisa mentioned that one of her goals is to have a real estate investment that is an investing for our future. So I'm going to go into this. I'm sure all of you have seen it. This is how we are defining basically how we should live our life from the point of conception all the way through where there is no end. Again, this is where spirituality comes in. If we do believe that there is a God and that we have a soul that survives after we are done with this world, that we can continue, what we leave behind can continue to help us. So the example is, if you look in the mother's womb, in that 9 months, mother provided everything for the fetus, food, nutrients, oxygen, everything that it needed. And the fetus just concentrated on developing the limbs that it needs for this world. We discussed this just a little bit last week. We got our ears, our eyes, our fingers, toes, all the internal organs, which most of them we did not need in there, but life without them here on Earth is impossible. Well, not impossible, but very difficult, most of them. Then we are looking at our time while we are on Earth. And these are not exact years, they're just kind of the general guidelines. Our childhood for about 21 years, we concentrate on education. We get education, we get experience. We may start to earn a little bit of money as we are entering our adolescent or youth years. But then we heavily still rely on our parents. Our parents provide the housing, food, they wash our clothing, basically parents provide. But then once we get into our working years, this is now when we are on our own. We start with active income, and then we hope to continue to graduate through passive income because we know that the next stage of life is going to come. Again, this is not an exact age. Everybody retires at a different time, but we know that at some point of time, we will get into a position where physically we cannot continue to work. We have to rely on passive income. That's what we have to do. And part of that, in order to get there, we have to sacrifice some of our comforts now in this age group when we are between the 21 and 70. Because otherwise, all we are doing is just feeding our temptations and desires. We allocate some of our resources to what we need. We still need to have a house. We still need to eat, travel, do all of that stuff. But we should also make sure that there is something we are putting aside, something for our later years. So this is our material life for our living years. But then if you remember, as we looked last week, these are what's in the scriptures and what we're supposed to do to prepare ourselves for the next world. Knowledge of God, love of God, faith, doing good deeds for philanthropic deeds for others, sacrificing our comfort, not becoming attached to this world. Again, just because there's a new iPhone coming out, I don't think we should be sleeping in front of the Apple store to be sure that we buy the first one. You're the first one to buy. And then becoming sanctified and holy, developing our treasures. And then once we depart from this world, what we leave behind, our legacy, will benefit our soul, which will continue to progress through the worlds of God. So this is how we put it together. Hopefully this is providing a general plan, general guideline of how we're going to manage our finances while we also attend to our spiritual affairs. All right, I want to stop here and see if there are any questions before we go into the breakout rooms. And I do have some specific questions for the breakout. Let me stop sharing because there was a lot of material that was shared with you. Are there any questions about what we just shared? Okay, everybody's quiet. What is going on today? I know Amy is not here. Amy couldn't make it tonight. She has always had stuff to say. All right, so let's set this up. Ms. Banks, you're okay with taking half of the participants into the breakout room with you? Judy, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay? I'm gonna break out the group into two. I'll take half, and then you take half, and we'll just kind of. So the questions that we have, the first one, what sacrifices are you willing to make to achieve your goals? That is the first question. And the second question is, have you already started a source of passive income? Talk about the passive income a little bit. So we want to, so the two questions for the breakout session is, what sacrifices are you willing to make to achieve your goals, whatever the goals are? And then also, what is a passive income and have you already started on having the passive income? And then we'll come back together. We'll have 10 minutes for the breakouts. Let me set up the breakout session. So we have 10 and 9. Perfect. Let me make sure. Okay, you're in group 2, and I'll go with group 1. All right, guys. So we'll go on to our breakout session, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. Please join the breakout session. Your breakout. All right. So, who would like to start? What sacrifices are you willing to make to achieve your goals?
Yeah, let start first.
Yes, there is a bit of echo, Sophia.
Please turn off because
Yeah, I know you have multiple.
but okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay, no, that's good now. Go ahead.
Okay, to me, since I have the ambitious plan, I have two main work category. One is a non-profit works, because I manage the operation of a non-profit organization, and the one is a business. So let me take this time to talk, because what I sacrificed. I spent more than 20 years working in the non-profit, and then at one time I started to think, why don't I? Because as you know that non-profit is about raising money, asking money from other people, and then at one stage I thought about why don't we start something by our own, and try to get money, and we can help our own non-profit. Then I started the social enterprise. We call social enterprise. It's kind of the business. And then because we work in education for more than 20 years, and then we have experience enough, then we use our expertise to start different education business, including consultancy, a private public school. We established the school in the city and so on. But to work on this kind of thing, I have to sacrifice my time, because I have one statement is that I have to work every day is my work day, in the belief that one day, every day is my weekend.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. All right. Who would like to go?
So more last 3 years. Hello.
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you. It's a little choppy, but we can hear you. Go ahead. Okay.
So, I sacrificed 3 years already, just working, but for sure, as you mentioned, sometimes our energy, emotion is going down, but it takes me back when I think, okay, now I work every day is my work day, but one day, every day is my weekend.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's time sacrifice. Yeah.
Okay.
And the second one is how we have started the passive income. I did not involve in the real estate and so on, but my passive income is through that we have spent about 6 years already building education model, and then we sold a franchise to other locations around Cambodia. And then now with this kind of the passive income, I only stay, and then my franchisee work for me. I consider that is one of the passive income. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right. Who else would like to respond to the two questions? What sacrifices you're willing to make? And Alcina, go ahead, please.
I was really thinking about the question, and I think I'm not thinking about sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm thinking about sacrifice I've been making to achieve my goal. And one of them that is, I would say, has been very painful is less time with my child,
Mhm.
time, energy, and then the little income I have to restart. Any time I have to restart. So those are sacrifices I'm always willing to make to earn more.
Okay, all right, very good. Anybody else would like to share sacrifices that you're willing to make? I know it's a difficult thing, and often when we do work with people, it's like, well, what am I going to give up? What am I supposed to do? So it does take some time, but eventually, especially as you consult, if you have another person, if you have a partner, if you have a spouse, it does eventually come to you on how to come up with that sacrifice. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the passive income. We learned about two methods of passive income. So you mentioned the franchise. That's a very good thing. What other types of passive income, if you have or you think would be good to carry us through retirement? Any ideas?
I think properties,
Properties. Okay. All right.
that gold.
Properties. Well, gold does not, I mean, the definition of a passive income is something that provides you with regular residual income. Gold can definitely appreciate, but until you sell it, it does not. As opposed to, I think, like what Sophia mentioned, the franchise can give you on a regular basis some income. Property, again, the same thing. If you have written a book or you have produced a song, that's another way of producing residual income. So those are all different types of it. Okay, let me see if I have any more questions. Okay, we'll do that for the next hour. How would you like to remember by? Okay, we'll keep that. All right, so why don't we, I wonder if the other group is done. I'm just gonna close since we're not all that talkative in here. I don't want to be the only one who's talking here. Donald, do you want to share something? We still have a couple of minutes. I don't know if Don is in there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sure.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts? I'm doing all the talking about sacrifices and passive income.
Right. Well, when we talk about that sacrificing, is it about, do we not get the new car? Would be one of them, or do we get not a new car, but a close to new car? And then the latest fashions. Do we have to have the latest fashions to spend our money? Because what we're concerned about is to collect more money before the end of the month. And that money then will go for the next collection, therefore we're starting to save. And so therefore you need to look at everything and then begin to make that decision to say, this is where we're gonna go. Because there's lots of places where our money tends to go, but yet we'll never take a look at it unless we sit down and write where most of our money may end up going. Say maybe you spend it mostly on groceries at some point in time, or they don't use, or the groceries are very expensive. So therefore you have a very expensive diet plan. As for the passive income, much like you said, creating, nowadays you have technology which you could use if you're one to use technology, and that is you could help someone use their internet, or using their device, who has no real understanding of how to have it, but they want a device. So therefore they get a device and it's like, how do you do this? So therefore you have an opportunity to make a little money using the technology to explain it to others, and for your intellectual rights, I'll call it, because you have the knowledge, you can also expend yourself out and say, hey, this is where I can go. These are just mere ideas that off the top of my head, because they're there, and we always want to think about it. Okay.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. All right, so that was a great example. There's so many of them, and we will see how we can create those sources of income, so we are set for our future years. All right, so let's go back to the main session, and then we'll continue our discussions there. Okay, we're waiting for our friends to come from the other room. And then we'll continue. All right, Ms. Banks,
Yes,
did you ask anyone to take notes? I forgot to do that, so I took some notes.
no, I didn't. I didn't ask anyone.
Okay, so you want to share from your group?
Yes, some of the sacrifices that that we are willing to make is less shopping, saving more, less Starbucks. And one of the participants is up late right now participating in this class, and she said she's sacrificing her sleep.
Okay,
And we talked about the passive incomes being from the rentals, and that's the only thing that I wrote down, but they did say something else I forgot.
okay, all right, very good. We had about the same things too. Maybe sacrificing some time from being away from the family. That is, I know, or the time. I know Alcina, it's 3 a.m. In Angola, where she's dialing from.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely, yes. And we really, I mean, I've said this and I cannot say this enough. Really, one of the biggest rewards that our team can get from doing these workshops is the sacrifices that the friends make from across the world to attend this meeting in such a different, in the middle of the night, in different times. So I really appreciate that. All right, so we have that. Then as far as passive income, Sophia mentioned that he has created a franchise that now he's earning money from. And that's another way of earning some fun, because basically the definition of passive income is when we don't work for it, when we don't do anything. Active income is when we have to get up in the morning, either go to work, but since COVID, we don't even have to go to a place, we can work from home. But then still we have to do something. We have to physically participate in generating that income. And then passive is the income that we don't have to work at it every week or every month, maybe a little. Another example would be if we write a song, if we write a book, if we invent something that it can be licensed to other places or will continue to get royalty. So those are all different types of passive income that we can. And I'm going to share my screen so we can look at our worksheet again. Okay. So again, we know that sacrificing a little bit of our time and comfort in this world. Usually when we are a child, we don't do a lot of sacrificial things. We just enjoy everything. But then when we start working, that is when we can and we should begin to think about our future. Actually, in a few weeks, when we talk about retirement, the character traits that we've allocated to retirement is selflessness. It's because we need to be selfless to our own future. That's how we make sure that as we get older, we don't rely on our physical body, and for the life beyond too. So let's see what you wrote. It's like, how would you like to be remembered by? What is the legacy that you like to be known by after we're gone from this world? So I'm going to put it in the chat. And see what are responses. You can either unmute yourself and share your thoughts. How would you like to be remembered by? Or you can put it in the chat, either way. Because that definitely, while you're thinking about how would you like to hear it, everyone, because that's something that everyone can relate to. How would you like to be remembered by? And I'm going to pull up the scripture that we read. So please don't be shy. Tell us, how would you like to be remembered by? Wow, is this a really difficult question? I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, got one coming in. And this one, number 7. So okay, so we got time coming in. Wow, all coming at the same time. So Flavia from Uganda said, I would like to remember it for inspiring the younger generation to be great leaders of their time. Maria from US says, I would like to help people achieve their dreams by teaching them knowledge and skills that will help grow their potential. I want to be remembered as someone who is compassionate, kind, and thoughtful. My legacy of all my students. Vicky says, I would love to be remembered by my hard work. Daniel says, creator or founder of a family business of current and future generations. Parisa says, a generous and kind person. Sophia says, I work hard to build my own financial empire, and then I can use the exact percentage of my income to help the less fortunate students to get education and change their lives. Sohn says, I would like to be remembered by my forgiveness and thankfulness. Kiza from Uganda says, I would like to be remembered for having projects that can offer me and people around me an income source that is sustainable. I look at it, we can be selfish because this is where if you remember, this is what we read last week from the Baha'i writings. It says the progress of man's spirit in the divine world after the severance of its connection with the body of dust is 1, through the bounty and grace of the Lord alone, 2, through the intercession and the sincere prayers of human souls, and 3, through the charities and important good works which are performed in its name. So I personally like to be selfish. I want to be remembered. So my soul, after I'm gone, people are going to remember and they're going to hopefully say a prayer in my name and do some good work in my name. All right, we got a few more. Sayero says, sharing knowledge and experience. Alcina says, I would like to be remembered by my kindness and empowering others. Carol says, I would like to be remembered by teaching financial planning knowledge to families so as to improve their quality of life and make them much more happier and peaceful. Okay. So these are all great goals. And we used to, when we did this, early on when we started doing the program, we would actually ask the participants, what do you want to become in life? Especially from children, what do you want to become in life? And their answers would be like doctor, a teacher, a firefighter, a sport person. But then we realized that those are just milestones. So if I want to be a teacher, my goal is not, the milestone is to become a teacher so I can educate the illiterate. If I want to become a doctor, that's a milestone because I would like to heal the sick. So we made that shift. This question, we actually started implementing this, I think, last 2 years or so. And now we're giving everyone a sense of purpose. It's like, what is my purpose in life? What am I doing here? What is going on? So I hope that setting these plans are giving you some thought. Again, the assignments that are given, it's not just to do, or you're not doing them for us, it's for yourself. And you can go back and modify your goals and see how it is. We will begin to track to see if you are achieving these goals or not, because that is one of the very important aspects. Again, many people set goals, but because they don't have a way of tracking, then they lose sight of it. They lose concentration. I want to buy an iPhone, but then before I save up the $500, there's a new TV out. And it's like, okay, now I want a new TV. So being able to control our desires is another way of making sure that we achieve our goals. So next question is, how do you already track your goals? I'm gonna put that in here. And it would be great if somebody can talk. I don't want to be the only one who's talking. So the question is, do you already track your goals? If yes, how? And again, it would be, I'm gonna stop sharing. So if somebody would like to open their mic and video and tell us a goal that you have set and how you track it. Giza, you usually participate in the conversation. You're quiet this morning. I know it's early. I know it's only it's 6 a.m. there in Kampala.
Okay, I'd like to share something. I track my goals by checking my daily pattern in terms of how I handle the finances. So when I set a goal, for instance, monthly, I make sure that my commitment is easily followed right away from day-to-day pattern up to when the month comes to an end, in order to be sure that I have achieved my already set goal.
Okay, all right. How do you know if it's a material goal? If it's something that you're going to buy, how do you know if you have, and your goal is to save up money? How do you know if you're saving enough money or not? How do you know? I don't want to just put you on the spot. If anybody else, if you have set up in the past, you set up a goal that you wanted to buy something and it would cost whatever. How do you know if you're making progress on your goal for saving the amount of money? Sophia, you unmute yourself.
To me, I use normally I have like my personal plan that I check every day. I work on the plan, and at the end of the day I check on that. So my planner that I specifically designed for myself is to monitor on the progress of all my goals in terms of the goal and also the financial goal as well. And then we have used the Excel sheet to follow to track the progress of our goals.
Okay, all right, very good. Anybody else have a system of tracking your goals? All right, so I'm going to show you how we actually teach students, young children, to track their goals. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we use this worksheet, this Google Sheet, not only for adults like yourselves that are participating in this, we use the exact same sheet for students in the classrooms. That's exactly what we do. And in material is very much presented the same, because as you can see, setting goals, everybody, whether it's a child or an adult, we want something. So we have them do this exercise. Now, the way we teach balancing and budgeting, to a young child is through this, what they call the register book. So I'm going to pop this up. So I think if you remember, when we do this program with the students, with young students, we give them play money as pocket money, or as we call it, allowance here in the US. That's something that we do. So whatever they put in their sheet, in their patient sheet as what they want, it will show up in here. And it is allowance, and we can talk about it a little bit, is not something that is widely exercised. And we'll talk about it a little bit to see why it's not. But every time when we present, let's say we present a patient's lesson plan in the schools, we go through exactly what we did with you. And then at the end, we do give them allowance, $20 allowance with play money that we give them. I'm gonna pull up here so you can see the picture. I did show the picture last week, but this is how we help the students learn how to keep track of their goals and achieve it. So either we use the printed register book or the online version that we were just looking at. We give every student, again, $20 in allowance. We usually give them a $10, a $5, and 5 ones. If we can cut a picture of what they like to have, so let's say if they want to have a cell phone, we cut that picture and we put it in the save box. So now they understand that what is it that they're saving for. And then we help them understand what is spending. Of course, a third grade student does not necessarily go and buy food and life necessities for themselves, but they can understand the concept. So we do ask them to put about half of their allowance in the spend. We help them understand why is it important to share with others. And then also investing. We can teach investing even to a third grade student. Not necessarily investing in a real estate, but investing in our education, in our family. So very a simple investing concept. And then of course, they can understand the save concept as well. But most importantly is the way we begin to teach them to develop the habit of keeping track of their finances. So again, this is how this one works. Let's say today is May 18. I do give them $20 in allowance. And this worksheet is very interactive. In our schools here, every student usually does have a laptop. They have access to internet. So it's very easy for us to create these worksheets for every student. And then as they put in their numbers, they get these little emojis that tell them how far they've gone. So again, we ask them to put $10 into their spend, maybe $2 into their share, $1 to invest, and then they have $7 that they left to do. Now, again, exact same thing can be done on the printed versions. So we do the same thing on the printed workbooks where technology is not available. The concept is the same. And now here, they also practice math. So they have to be able to add these numbers together. I don't want to get too detailed into it, but this is another aspect of our program for younger students that they learn how to do math. So I'm going to stop here and see what are your thoughts about teaching finances to children. If you have a child or children, have you already started to talk to them about money? And it would be great. We would love to hear from our parents. Anybody would like to share? If you have already, you can either put it in the chat or open your microphone, and I'm going to stop sharing. We can all see each other. Have any parents in this group began to teach money at first? Alcina, you're unmuted.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm not going to say I have begin to teach because I don't really teach about money until right now. I thought it was not a good thing to teach children. And then after what I've just learned, what I've just heard from you, I was like, wow, this is so easy. It's so possible. My idea about money is that I don't let my child touch money. I don't want to introduce her to money. She's 7 years old, and then I feel like, oh, it's not a good thing. I don't want her to be close to money. But the way you just explained, you just gave me a different idea, totally different idea. Thank you.
All right. Other thoughts? Okay, Julia says sharing knowledge about insurance. I'm not sure if you're teaching insurance to children yet. Other parents in the group, what are your thoughts about should we start teaching our children about finances at a young age or not, or it is too much for them? They should not, because some parents feel that it will promote materialism if you start at a young age.
Hi,
Carol.
Alex.
Carol, go ahead, please.
Yes, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and then I started to teach her some concepts about how to manage finances by because there is a platform in China, Hong Kong, which sells stuff like Alibaba. We call it the Taobao. I'm not too sure if you have heard about that. And then it's a really big platform for us to buy or to do online shopping. And then I started to teach her to compare prices of different things. Yeah, so try not to make decision that soon before you comparing like the prices and the quality of the products. So that's how I teach her managing like save monies and stuff like that.
Okay, all right, very good. Any other parent that would like to share thoughts about whether we should teach money to children or not? Carissa?
So I think we definitely have to start early on. And I learned from your last lecture, by 5 years old, it's a good time to give them allowance. And so my children are 2 and 4. They're still early, but I try to teach them and talk to them basically about the value of money. And tell them, like, you want to buy something, at least right now, mommy has to work this amount of hour, so you will be able to have this one. So I try not to make it so easy for them to have everything they want and give them limited choices. So I think these are the very beginning steps, and hopefully by the time they start having, getting allowance and gathered money, I can do more advanced teaching to them.
Okay, all right, very good. So the way we like to think about it, and yes, for most of us, especially us that are a little bit older, we did not grow up with one of these. But these days, this is my thing that I always share, that our children are being born with a device in their hands, straight out of their, as soon as they come out of their mother's belly. They're given one of these or a tablet. It's like, here, stay busy, just watch. And particularly here in the US and maybe in Hong Kong, they see parents just kind of do this, and then something shows up at the door the next day. So they don't understand if we don't teach them. It's not about a choice anymore to talk to our children from a young age. It's a necessity. We have to. I know some parents, again, feel like if I start them too young, they're going to be attached to money. Well, I mean, I cannot say, unfortunately, this is how our society is. We have to do this. And as Parisa said, if we don't do this, then children think that everything comes easy. Whatever they want, they can get it. They can just ask for it or beg their parents, and they will get it. But it's amazing of how children change, their attitude changes once you start giving them allowance, and of course with guidance that, yes, I'm giving you this much. And the amounts, often I'm asked, how much should we give allowance to our children? And it's like, some people do based on age. If it's like they're 5-year-old, they give them $5 per week, per month. And also it depends on the maturity of the child, and also the condition of the family finances. Maybe not everybody can give. And it doesn't even have to be money. It can be stickers. It can be points. Something that helps children develop that self-discipline and delayed gratification. So they know that if they want to buy a Lego set, if they want a Lego, they have to collect, let's say, 10 stickers. Whatever they do to do those stickers. Let me read some of the comments that are coming in, and then we'll continue. So Sophia says it's crucial, important to introduce the saving or financial knowledge to kids. Kiza says the general perspective towards money in our society are worrying. It is a bit tricky on whether we should teach children and introduce them to money. Yes, it's definitely something that you have to consider a lot of different aspects. Daniel says, I already teaching grandchild to save, keep money and use it to buy even the toys he likes, creating understanding that things are bought using money he has and making sacrifices. That's another great example. Sacrifices is not just about us adults. It can even be for children. Flavia says, I have taught them to save with an objective. Very good. So they started to save and would buy small toys. It graduated to buying things like watches and now even money that they use to buy a shoe or birthday gift for a friend. Very good. Vicky says, yes, I tried this by making my young sister manage her own finances at school by having a student's card called Kawao, which is purposely for pocket money. And at the close of the term, I want an accountability of how the money given to her been spent. This is exactly what we need to do. And this is why we are doing the program based on character traits. We need to raise responsible children, accountable children. And these are all the elements that we can help them understand towards money. Another way that I like to present this is that we teach our children how to brush their teeth as soon as they get the first tooth. I mean, I think every parent does that. Hopefully every parent does that. We teach them how to pray. Those that believe in spiritual aspects of life, we teach our children how to pray from a young age. We don't explain to them why we're praying. We don't explain to them why they're brushing their teeth. First, they develop the habits. And then as they grow older, then they understand what these habits are for and whether they're useful. And it's very important, I think, to, again, give them something as you start to give them allowance. Also have a way for them, not only talk to them, but I think providing something either like jars or the treasure box that we have in here, something that they can separate. This is how we teach budgeting to young children. Having this tool for them, so you can put like 4 jars together and label each one of them spend, share, invest, and save. Obviously, at a young age, they're not necessarily spending for anything, but usually as they become about age 13 or so, 11, 13, at least here in the US, they want to hang around with their own friends after school. So having some pocket money is doing this. And sharing, that's another very important aspects of life. We need to learn how to share from a very young age. Investing in US, we always tell the children that college is expensive. It requires money. So although parents may eventually pay for the college, but still we can tell the children that that's what the money is for, and saving is obviously there. Before we move on to the budgeting, I want to stop here and see if there are any questions about allowance, pocket money, how we start with children. Any questions here? Okay, and go ahead, Carol.
Can you share a little bit more, maybe because I missed the first live session, can you share a little bit more on how you teach children on, when we first started, how you teach children on finances or managing or budgeting, how you teach them to start?
Well, exact same thing. I mean, the video that we watched, the only thing that we are not presenting, particularly in schools, is the spiritual aspects of finance. That, like that last week's live session, the first hour where we read the scriptures, that we do not do in schools. That's only done outside schools. But then I'm gonna go back to the curriculum. This one. So if we look at our worksheet, we're gonna go to the table of contents. So in schools, we actually, we start from grade 3, age 8. We start with the basic level. So we start with the human treasures. The register book is used every session. And then, sorry, as I hover over these, you get the pop-ups. Then we do patience. Some of the lesson plans have very short videos, like this one. I'm not gonna play the video, but later on you can. It's about the panda that hangs on to the zookeeper's leg. And we use that as like, do you guys, when you go to store and you see something, do you hang on to your parents' legs and don't let them walk out until they buy you the things that you want? So with children, we're doing exact same thing as we're doing it here with adults. There's no difference. And it does work. Ms. Banks, so I'm not the only one who's talking. You want to share your experience over the past 12 years teaching this curriculum to children? Is Ms. Banks is still here? Did you talk? Oh, she might. Oh, Judy. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, I didn't hear your question. I'm
So,
sorry.
so the question is that Carol asked, it's like, how do we teach finances and budgeting to children? How do we start the program? So question was, what's been your experience over the past 12 years that we've been working together teaching to children?
Okay, my experience is that other than they bulk up the play money, but I tell them all the time that you get money for birthdays, for different events, and that money can be used to save, share. And we talk about being able to help others. They like that part. They really do like to share. We talk about some of your friends are less fortunate than you. You teach them how to be good from the characteristics, from the different virtues, how to apply those to the money, being kind, being patient, helping others. And then they get it because they're able to help others and compare money and stuff like that.
All right. And you will find it amazing as how much children can understand the concept. We think that they're too young. It might be too much for them. Yes, of course, we are not teaching them how to open a retirement account. That would be too much for a third grader. But these concepts, it's amazing as how much they understand it at an early age. Tomorrow, later on, I will share a study from Cambridge University in UK, that they found that children by age of 7, they already develop some of their financial habits. And again, because now most people are exposed to internet and these things, they're becoming more and more sophisticated. Our children are learning a lot faster than when we were learning. So you'll be surprised at how easy it is to teach financial elements to children. All right, other questions? Nope, they're good. And a lot of it is about developing habits, whether it's for a child or for adults. Often we think that quite often we get requests, can you come and teach us finances in a 1-hour session? And I always say no. And they're surprised. It's like, why not? There's an opportunity to come and present about financial education in a 1-hour session. It's like, there's so much. And becoming financial savvy is about developing habits. It's not about a 1-hour presentation. Yes, we can present some topics, some ideas, but it is about developing habits. And that is the goal of the assignments that we are giving to you through this program. We are hoping that you will develop some of these habits.
If I may add on this, Donald here.
Go ahead.
As we explain this to the children in the classes, it's the exercise of once they get their allowance, and then they decide where they want to put that allowance in their treasure box. They have the opportunity we all insist that they put a definite larger amount in the spend of their treasure box. But after that, they have the opportunity to say, I want $3 in the share section. I want $5 in the spend, and I want to put some money in the save. So that choice is theirs, but it's the exercise of doing that. And over time they see, and we do this every week. So then they'll see how does that happen, or what's happening each week as they make the decision of the money grows in those little pockets. And then they understand now, if I put it in there, now it's going to be there when I look for it later. So that's one of the exercises, like we said, to use, is you actually have to do it, or it helps by doing it.
We'll talk more about it, how we present this. All right. So we're going to jump into the next lesson plan, which is about moderation. And I know that this is a challenge that a lot of us, it's an item that a lot of us are challenged with, whether it's time, whether it's money, but that's what we pick this character trait, treasure of moderation, to present budgeting. I'm not going to get too detailed. There's several activities in here. The moderation scale, that's something that I don't have a way of showing it. I should actually record a video, but we use the scale to show the how we need to balance between our fun activities and also our educational activities. For example, we cannot just be playing video games all day, or for adults, we cannot just be on our phone going up through social media. We need to have a balance in there, which is very difficult. A shopping list, this is what we use. We make a shopping list of things that we want to buy. And the children actually learn how to go to store. We bring the stores to them. So after they have saved up enough money, not saved up, they have enough money in their spend, we actually pretend that we're going to a supermarket to buy different items in here. The one that I want to concentrate for this group here is this time management. So in the chat, if you can put in there, do you keep track of your time, of how you're spending your time? Because I know talking to different friends over the completing their assignments, several members of this team said, well, I'm overwhelmed with children. I have so much work to do. I'll do it last minute. I'll do it just before the class. I do all this stuff. So it is obvious that we do have some time management problems. Does anybody keep track of their time, whether it's on the calendar, whether it's on a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper? Does anybody do that? And then we'll talk about it while you guys are presenting. Okay, Asa says no. All right. It's something that is very helpful, especially if we have a hectic life. And this is why we created this table in here. You can do this as many times as you want for every week. Sophia says, I do. I use Microsoft Todo, okay. And he says, yes, both calendar and spreadsheet. Okay, very good. So the way, and this is more of a exercise that you can do one time, you can do multiple times as you do it. Basically, for each day of the week, you can take 1 week, and we've put in the column B, that stands for budget. That means that how much time you're allocating. And we have put these items actually based on what we think is the importance of how we should be doing our time. Spiritual development, whatever that means to you, whether it's going to a church, to a synagogue, to a temple, just praying on your own, being with friends, whatever that is. So this one, let's say if I want to do 30 minutes, I'm saying that Monday I'm going to spend 30 minutes of time on my spiritual development. Family time, it could be when we eat together, when we play together, whatever that is. 60 minutes, managing finances. We put that in there because often people do not recognize that our financial affairs is something that we have to spend time on. We think that our financial affairs is just going to magically be okay. And that's when we get into trouble. When we don't pay attention to it, we find that, oh, we did not pay some of our bills. We did not take care of some of our responsibilities. Now, we don't have to allocate on daily basis, but at least once a month, we do need to allocate some time. And now, for the duration of this program, you should allocate, you have the 2 hours of the live session, and at least I would say that another hour every week to do your assignments. And hopefully not the last minute. This is one of the things we love about the spreadsheet, is because we can see who did their assignment, what time of day, and who did them last minute, like 2 hours before the workshop. But it's okay. It's our personality. It's something that we need to develop to not wait for the last minute. So I would just put in here, maybe on Mondays or whenever, 60 minutes for finances. And then the column A is for actual. It's like, did I spend 30 minutes doing my spiritual development? Maybe I did less. Maybe I did only 15 minutes there. I wanted to spend more time with my family, so I did 120. This is all about developing that habit of keeping track of our time, and then it translates into our financial affairs. That's the importance of this sheet in here. And for those that are constantly running out of time, we had, I think it was 2 years ago, one of the participants from, I think she was from Cape Town. She wanted to do so much, and she was just overwhelmed. She had 4 kids, a business, and then they were going to buy a house, and she also wanted to start the teaching this curriculum. So for like 2 months, I just had to talk to her. I said, please do this so you recognize how your time is being spent. She was staying up until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, your children are going to wake up in a few hours. You need to have energy for them. So this can be really helpful. So this is one of your assignments for next week, to do this. And again, this is not a one time, but it can be done over and over again. I see several friends mention that they use the calendar, Parisa and Addis. If you remember, when you signed up for this course, I asked everyone 2 tasks. One of them was to accept the calendar invite. Why do you think I was so adamant for all participants to accept the calendar invite? Any thoughts? What's the significance of accepting that Google Calendar invite? If anybody wants to open up the microphone, share any thoughts? To plan ahead and prepare, yes. Commitment and reminder, exactly. Yep. So I like to think of it that our smartphones can sometimes do smart things, as opposed to just going on shopping and going on social media. I use my calendar all the time, especially when I have meetings and there's like a virtual link. I always ask the organizer to send the calendar invite and put the virtual link in there. Because a lot of people still have the habit of emailing or texting or sending the link via WhatsApp. Now I have to go back and remember when I got that link. And in emails just kind of disappear on their own. But if I know that on Thursday or Friday, I have an appointment to go attend a class, as long as I remember what day and time it is, I can easily go find the link. And I don't have to ask the organizers. I even had tonight, I had somebody just before we started ask me for the link. And I'm sorry, I cannot do that because I'm presenting. So please use your calendars to organize your affairs, financial affairs, family affairs, whatever you're doing. You will find it very much useful. All right, so for moderation, we're going to go into the task that some people are willing to give up their lives before they do this task. Anybody wants to guess what that is? Ms. Banks is smiling. There is a financial aspect of there's this aspect of finances that some people just do not want to do. I have had many participants. It's so difficult for them to get into that habit. Ms. Banks, do you want to share with us what that is? Expense report. Okay, Asa, you're very close. Yes, exactly. Budgeting. Yep. We have had people that try to do our program, and I just ask them to write down how they spend their money, even on a piece of paper. And after a few years, that person still could not do it. So this is how we're going to keep track of our budget. I'm going to do an introduction, and then we'll go into our breakout rooms. Okay. I know last week I did ask if you who keeps track of they have a budget, and several friends said yes. If you have your own tool, that's fine. You can use that. If you've never started on it, this is one way. This is our spreadsheet for keeping track of our money affairs. It may look a little bit intimidating, a little bit too crowded, but don't worry about it. It's something that we'll get used to it. And again, it's not a one-time. This is definitely not a one-time exercise. As you can see, this is for an entire year. It starts from this month, and then even after we are done with the 6 weeks program, we often work with many participants over the entire year to help them get into the habit of putting numbers in here. So here's how this works, and hopefully you can pay attention. The way we start to build a budget is in this, the column B in the yellow boxes. This is where we start. So let's say if I have a job and I make, let's say, $2,000 per month. When I put that number in, it populates all the months under the column budget. So you see, I put the $2,000 in here, and it automatically put everything in there. Now, if your income is not consistent, not everybody has a consistent monthly. If you have your own business that it goes up and down, you can always do an average. The budget number is not as important as the actual number. If you are a student, our students here in US, college students, they get their student loan and they might get that. If you're still getting some money from our parents, that's how we can do it. So let's say if I'm a student, I do work a little bit, my parents help me out with some money, so I put that in there. It completes. Let's say I don't have any student loan. So this is our active income. This is how we fill in the income in here. Then if we have some investments, it could be anything. It could be like what Sophia was saying, a franchise that is going to give me back. So I'm going to use Sophia's example. Franchise, and this franchise is going to produce some passive income, $200 per month. And this was supposed to add, oh, this is the one that I'm going to put that in here. I do need to fix this. Okay. So now what the spreadsheet is doing, it's adding up all my passive income and active income and saying that, okay, every month I do have $2,700 in monthly income. Now we come down and start to, again, at this point, if you don't know what your monthly expenses are, you can just guess. If you have if you're renting an apartment or something, we can put in, or if you that. So this is our rent. Again, it automatically fills all the boxes. Utilities, $50. And these categories you can change. You have full control when you start your budget sheet. You can change to whatever your categories are. But these are some of the ones I think are very common, no matter where we are in the world. $100 in supermarket. Let's say our phone here is about 50. Internet is another 50. So we just put all that stuff in there. Again, eating out, you can do an average, let's say $45. So we just built a budget, and it took only a few minutes. Now, this was the easy part. The difficult part is at the end of the month, now we need to go back and put the actual numbers in. And this is the one that everybody has problem with. We are often busy with other aspects of life. We don't want to do it. Sometimes we are afraid. There are many people who are afraid of writing down how much they spend. They know what their income is, Some of the expenses are fixed, like rent is usually fixed. I know in some parts of Africa, rents are paid in like every 6 months or every year. That would work too. But then things that we have control over, how much we eat out. That is usually one that really gets people. Clothing, when we go shopping, what happens? So we're going to start for next week. You will start with building your budget. And if you need any help with this, building this budget, please reach out to me through WhatsApp. And then, but start to keep track of if you're getting receipts, or you need to write them down throughout the month. At the end of May, once we are done with May, you should begin to put in actual numbers. All right. I'm going to stop here and see if there are any questions before we go into our breakout. Any question about the budget process? I know Asa has a question. So do you recommend just our own or a household? For friends who are in a household, it has to be the household. We do not recommend doing individual if you're a part of a household. And we know that unfortunately, some couples, they keep their finances separate, and that is really not a good exercise. When we are in a household, it has to be everything together. The process looks clear. Okay, all right. All right, so let's go into our breakout sessions, and we will have questions. What are the questions for this? We have all right. So basically talk about the budgeting process. If you're already doing budgeting, and if yes, do you find it easy? Do you find it difficult? Have you been faithful to your budget? So let's have a conversation around the budget. I create the breakout rooms, and we will have two. Right, let me see who is in one. And we do have one other member of our team who joined and is with us. I'll have her in my room in there. And I have Donald and Judy. Okay, so we'll take 10 minutes, talk about the budgeting process, what's been your experience, what are your fears of doing the budget, and then we'll come back after the 10 minutes. Please go to your breakout. Okay, who would like to start? What's been your experience with creating and maintaining a budget?
Let's see.
Daniel, did you want to share anything?
Well, Alex,
Go ahead, Kiza.
the experience of budgeting is a challenging one, but at the same time, it's one that benefits me as an individual. The aspect of challenging is that it is difficult to be consistent in recording the daily experiences in terms of what you spend on, if you don't have a very good tool to help you to capture that. Sometimes days pass and you find that there are things you didn't take note of, but you have already spent money on them. And when you capture them with a good tool, it helps you to understand the relationship between what comes in and what comes out, and also what needs to be saved, for example, to achieve a goal, financial in nature. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Other so how do you keep track of it, Kiza? Do you like write it on a piece of paper?
Yes, I remember some years back I used to write in a notebook, but later on I accessed an application from Play Store
Okay,
which helps me to record the expenses and incomes.
okay, very good. And that's one of the other great uses of our phone, besides just looking through social media and going up and down, is actually, yes, there are apps that can help us keep track of our finances. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Parisa, what's been your experience?
So how we do the finances and basically keep track of what we make and how we spend. I think we have to make some changes, because whenever we do that, it's when we have a major increase in our expenses. We're gonna sit down, okay, we need to sit down and write down what do I pay for and what he pays for, and we can, make a balance, because otherwise we're gonna have problems. So we buy a new car, now we have to sit down. But otherwise, it might be a couple months that we don't do that. So what happened, like my kids go to a school that, it's expensive, and my second one just started. So we sit down, and on the piece of paper, I write how much I make, my own money from my work, and then what are the bills that I pay for my school or for gas, for everything that I, my share. And then he also write it down, and we try to balance out, see if, if that works for both of us.
Okay.
But then I'm looking for something, because we lose that paper, and we can't find it if you want to go back and reflect on it. So I want to ask you if you, maybe the one that you just introduced, that's something I can go back without losing it, maybe have it in my phone. And
Yes,
also one more question I have, not so related, but do you recommend couple have one banking account, or is it okay for them to have two separate main checking account and maybe one saving account together, or what is your suggestion?
Okay, so that's totally related, because I was going to ask, so how are you guys doing it right now? So let me ask you this, because you say I pay my share and he pays his share. How are you guys doing? Do you separate, you pay some of the bills and Sharon pays some of the bills, or how does that work in your family?
Yes, based on what we make, money, we pay some of the bills. We have two separate accounts, and we have one share account that sometimes we, exchange money in that. But other than that, I don't know how much he has in his account, and he doesn't know how much I do, but we kind of know how much we make per month.
All right, okay. So this is the awareness, and that we need to come up with. This one. And if you see me looking on the side, is because I'm monitoring the breakout rooms and things. What we like to think about is, it comes from the Baha'i writing, I'm sure Tiza and Paris are familiar with. It's that marriage is a union of physical and spiritual, and we're adding now financial union. So it has to become one. And this is something that sometimes it's a foreign concept to some of the couples. And when we do work with couples on one-on-one basis, it's like it has to become unified. Both have to know exactly. Now, usually it's a great idea for one who's a little bit more organized and maybe computer savvy to take control of the logistics of the finances, like paying the bills and doing all that stuff. But then both couples, and then as the children grow, it has to be a family unit. Everybody needs to know what is happening. So it should not be that, well, I don't know how much he has and he doesn't know how much I have, or vice versa. It should be all. Now, what the question that you asked, should we have two separate accounts or one account? That's the technical aspects of it. But the psychology of it is that both couples have to know exactly what's happening. But it takes some time. It takes a little bit of, some couples, one of them usually is organized and tech savvy, can do this. Sometimes both of them are, and sometimes none of them are. So there is some work that can be done, and that's one of the things that we do outside of the live sessions. We work with couples because it's important. It's very important for the couples to become one financial unit. So that's a very important. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. Some of the participants, I know their things keep cutting in and out, so they get out of the breakout sessions. All right, other thoughts on this?
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you say we have to know what's going on exactly financially, what do you mean? Like, as far as, like, if I know how much he make and the bills that he pays, isn't it enough? Because what I'm worried if you have one account and his money comes and my money comes, I lose maybe at the beginning. I don't know. I'm not used to it. Now, right now, when I have my account, I know how much it comes in,
Mhm.
and I know the bills. But when he get mixed in my, in one account, it would be more complicated. And now I have to keep track of what he spent. It's good and bad, because now I exactly know he goes to Starbucks every day. I have to, talk to him. So
Exactly. Right now you're mixing the technical and the psychological aspects of it together. Yes, my wife and I, we've always had two separate bank accounts, but both of us have access to each other's accounts. We can see. And it's not like I'm more into the keeping track of how much money is coming in and doing that. And she puts it into, we use another software to put it all together. But eventually, and you can still keep your account separately, but then there should be somewhere where those two come together that both of you can look at, and exactly what you're saying, that you look and see, oh, he's going out too many times on Starbucks, and that is not helping with your buying that, you have a goal of real estate investments. All of these help. So there's the technical side of it, the logistics, and then there's also the psychological side of it. We'll talk more about it. All right, let's get back into the main room, and we'll continue. This is one of the great conversations that we can have about finances. All right, let's all go back into the main room, and then we'll continue the conversation. Okay, we'll wait for our friends to join. We left our room too, so. There we go. Okay, I'm waiting for everyone to come back in. All right, Ms. Banks, what did you guys talk about?
Well, we talked, it was pretty good. I would like for Sophia to, if you'll share a little bit of what you shared with us.
Okay, Sophia, go ahead, please. Sophia, you're muted. Sophia, yeah, unmute yourself, please. There you go.
I shared that I said to the team of the practitioner that I do have the budget and I keep a monitor on the expense. But I just shared that before I have this time, this day, this real budget monitor, I had the challenge. One is about creating the budget is one thing. Having the budget is one of the success, the first success. But follow up, fulfill all the expense is crucial, important, and if we can do that, that is the success of budgeting for me. But one thing that I share to the team and Ms. Bang is that I don't know any other country, but in Cambodia, male is the head of the family. Male is the one who looking for the money or work for the money. majority of female is the one who stay home and work on the housework. And then because of that, when I consider like a man look like a worker for the money and female like the boss at home. But when some male start to discuss about the budgeting, asking about how much we spend for this item and the item, and then problem always happen because female feel that why do you don't trust at me? You think I use money for other things? So I used to help my staff to start to develop their household budget, and few of them come back to me that, oh, last night I had the problem. I had a conflict with my wife because of the budgeting, and so on there. So that is why I said it is very important to start the household budget is to have the mature understanding and to really well informed about the reason of the budgeting. Yeah, that's what I share. Thank you.
Okay, all right, very good. We had a similar conversation. Parisa, since you asked the question, I'm going to let you talk about what your thoughts were about how you and your husband are currently doing your household finances.
So we don't do it regularly. We should, but whenever we have new major expenses added to our regular expenses, I and my husband, we tell each other, okay, we have to, sit down and seriously talk about what we make and how we spend it. So we write it in a piece of paper. I write how much I make money on top, like from my work, and then we divided the bills. Some of the bills I pay, depends how much I make. And he also write the bills, the name of the bills and the how much he pays. And then we try to balance it out. If with the new expense that we have, one of us, go to in much pressure, we try to maybe I get take care of one bill, so my husband wouldn't be short at the end of month. That's what I shared.
Okay, very good. And that brought us to the conversation that as part of this course, what we're going to learn and develop, have it over time. Just as Sophia says, yes, it might create some conflict, but our idea is that, and I wish I would have the quote from the Baha'i writing that says, when two people get married, it's not only a physical, but also a spiritual union. And we think that it's also a financial union. It has to become a unit. Yes, because at different times, maybe one spouse is working, the other one is not working, vice versa. As the children grow, it's the knowledge of knowing what's happening. There are two sides to it. There is the logistics, which is about how many bank accounts we need to have. Here in US, we call them checking accounts. And I think in the other parts of the world, they're called deposit accounts, which is used for daily transactions, like shopping things and doing things. You can have one, you can have two. My wife and I, we've been married for 30 years now. We've always had two separate accounts, but we have access to each other's accounts. And it really doesn't matter. We have also gone back and forth, so what you're talking about early in our marriage, we had the same thing. Some of the bills she was paying, some of the I was paying, and then she would say, oh, I'm paying too much. You're not paying enough. And so we went back and forth until we got to a point that, well, it's the household expenses. It's the family expenses. You're just one unit. And over this past 30 years, we have developed the habit and the trust that we understand neither one of us is afraid that if I'm in front of the computer all day, I'm going and just buying like crazy. Or if I don't go to the stores that often, and she does not either, but even these days, when both of us are on computer, things are not just showing up at the door because we have the freedom of just keep ordering, keep buying things. We're only buying things that are necessary. But as we were talking about, and as we will continue to develop, every household or even business, this applies even to businesses. that there needs to be one person who is organized, hopefully now these days tech savvy. There are many apps that allow us, Kiza was mentioning that he has an app to keep track of his daily expenses. Here in US, we have an app that can automatically pull. So Parisa, here there's an app that can automatically pull from your account, from Sharon's account, bring it all together. It even does it automatically. You don't even have to. But the awareness of what is happening to the family unit, and like you said, yes, expenses changes, incomes changes. So we need to be able to look and say, all right, now that I have a child that's going to go to daycare, now this is an extra expense. Or if one of the spouses loses their job, now the income is coming down. So it's very important. But again, it's going to take some time. Don't feel like it's going to happen tomorrow. If you are a single person by yourself, and if you haven't developed the habit of doing budgeting, it's always helpful to have someone that can encourage you, that can remind you. And as I mentioned, we will do that as long as you want us to do. We have worked with many families. Actually, when COVID happened, we worked with a family in London, family of 6. They started with 10,000 pounds in debt, credit card debt. And it took them 1 year to pay off all the credit card debt, but we were helping them. Like step by step, we were working together, not only to record what's happening to them, but also coming up and saying, all right, why don't you try this? Maybe you try that. So there's a lot that we can do together. So don't feel alone and don't feel overwhelmed. I know this could be, like I said, some people are willing to give up their lives, and I'm not kidding, before they actually sit down and write down how they're spending their money. It's the same concept when we have a business. It's what's exact same thing. Many people try to start a business without having a budget or without keeping track of what's happening. And that's where they get into trouble. I love it because my wife and I, we can go back 30 years, not that we ever do. I mean, I don't go back and look at 30 years ago, how much we were spending in supermarket. But if I want to, I can, because it's there. It's all in a computer program. But what it allows us to do is like budget our entire year, especially this past few years that we had 2 sons went to university, and that was very expensive. So we had to prepare for that. Now we're looking forward to not having those expenses. It's like, great, they're done with university. We don't have to pay for their education anymore. All right, I'm going to stop here, see if there are any questions before we kind of review the assignments for next week. We only have about 8 minutes left. Any questions on this? And next week, we will start with the budgeting again. It's going to take us a while to get through this. No questions? We're good? All right, so let me go back to our worksheet. So budgeting and keeping track of our money has actually 2 separate elements. This one, again, you should be easily to start it, to create it. And again, if you are not already keeping track of how much you're spending on weekly basis or daily basis, please try that. Write it on a piece of paper. Here in US, we get paper receipts or emails for every purchase that we make. Or if you buy it directly on our cards or credit cards, we can download those transactions. So how are you going to keep that? So in June, by the 10th of June, like by the 1st, or maybe the first 2 weeks of June, everybody should be able to go in and enter their actual expenses, income and expenses. So this is the first element. The other element, which we will talk more about next week, is knowing what we have and what we owe. What we have could be like our bank accounts, if we have rental property, investments, car, jewelry, farm, whatever that is, what the value is, and then also what we owe. Personal loans, credit card debt, unfortunately, is a big issue, big problem in US, which is not probably so much in other parts of the world, but it is a big issue. We'll talk more about this. Next week, let's see, we're going to continue on this conversation. Oh, and then the 2 treasures that we'll be discovering for next week is responsibility and accountability. Those are the two treasures that we're going to be discovering and polishing next week. Responsibility is about, you can start on this assignment. It's about our responsibility around the house or children. So let's say, like, for example, washing dishes. Let's say if in your household, you have a schedule between you, your spouse, and children, who is supposed to be washing dishes on what day. So let's say if you're supposed to wash the dishes on Sunday and Tuesday, and let's say Friday, that's your responsibility. You're accepting that responsibility. And then if you do it actually, you will go and say, yes, I did it. So this is also very similar to keeping track of our income and expenses. We love doing this for our kids in schools. Some parents don't feel like their children should have responsibility. Some tie the allowance or the pocket money to these responsibilities. We'll talk more about it. But try to kind of create a weekly responsibilities that you have around the house. Let's say laundry or pets, if you have any pets around the house. Then you can also, we will skip number 2, but then something that we'll get into is responsibilities that we should feel for people around us, our communities. What challenges exist in our communities? Like, believe it or not, a lot of schools here, children are still illiterate. Many of the schools that we go to present our program, children cannot do simple math in grade 4 or grade 5. This last term, I had a student who I asked, what is 9 plus 2? She went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, a 4th grader should not be doing that. So these are, just think about what challenges exist in the community where you live in. I'm just going to put in education. And what are some of the solutions that you'd like to propose? Because again, remember, we are trying to set ourselves for a financial freedom, so we don't have to work for money. But then the time that we're going to generate and clear, we're going to spend on addressing these challenges and with the solution. Right. So those are your assignments for next week. I'm going to stop recording, see if there are any questions in the last few minutes. They record. Go ahead, Alcina.
Sorry, my first question is on the treasure of next week. We have the responsibilities, and you said another one. What was it? Sorry.
It's the accountability, but we'll talk about that next week. Don't worry about it, because the budgeting will take you some time. So you got starting on the budgeting, and I will put the assignments in the group chat. So the recording will take about a few hours to process. It's 9 p.m. here now. By the time it's processed, I'll be asleep. So tomorrow I'll post the recording, and also just like last week, I will post the assignments. And please pay attention to the list of assignments that are posted in the group chat. I know several have questions about which ones we do, which ones we don't. If you haven't done them, please go back, because I know not everyone completed all the assignments from last week. Please try to complete whatever you've missed. All right, other questions?
Sorry, my other question is still on the assignment. I have issues seeing where to do what in the list. I know I disturbed you a lot this week, but maybe we have some better instruction could help.
Absolutely, that's no problem. If you have any questions about how to do an assignment, I'm absolutely fine with that. But when people ask me, what am I supposed to do, and not willing to go back and read the instructions, that I have a problem with. I do not like to repeat. So that's why I know, Sina, I kept asking you, please go back and read the instructions of which ones you need to do. Now, I know that when you do it on the phone, it's a much smaller screen. It's much more difficult. I'm used to doing the assignments on the computer. Like the question that she was asking me, where's the yellow box? And it's like, okay, it's right there. Then when I looked at the sheet on my phone, I realized that, oh, the yellow box is kind of, you have to scroll to the left. That's what you have to do. So those, I have no problem. I'll be more than happy. And don't feel like you're bothering me. I love doing this. the fact that Alcina, you woke up at 3 a.m. and now it's 5 a.m. I cannot ask for anything more than this. So please don't worry that you're bothered. There's no bother about it. Any questions, definitely. All right, anything else? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. If you're starting it, we're gonna go, for us here in the US, we're gonna go try to get some sleep. We'll talk to you guys
Thank
later.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.